and we are back here at Modern Mondays in Portland, Oregon at Guardian Games. I am Merchant Collie, and I am here with...
Devin Straub.
We are here with round 2 of 4, and so we are going to bring you in on this match between Kieran Budendek on his Selesnya Scales build and Finn Riley-Ballou playing humans. So
humans versus Scales, matchup that's been around for a little while. Scales has traditionally had the edge, but we might see some new cards change that a little bit.
yeah, I know Kieran's been playing Scales for a very long time. He's played Affinity, he's played Scales, and that is, it's cool to see him continuing to brew with it. Every time a new set comes out, or even just experimentally, you see him working on that.
Yeah. It's not too often you get cards that you could try out, but whenever you do, he's sure to try them out.
Yeah, I think, everyone's talking a little bit about Heliod and Scales, and I'm sure we will get to that between rounds because I have opinions.
It's interesting.
Oh, Luke Kaplan. If you wish that song was always playing in your head, well, guess what? Now it is. Oh, what's wrong with humans? I tried humans the other night, actually. I took humans for a spin at FNM. I do not play aggro decks. It was weird. I even had my first experience where I just had a lot of things with +1/+1 counters on them, and they just didn't they didn't really have a lot on board, and I was like, this math...
Your first math is for blockers
enough.
moment.
So I was just like, you know what? You figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's lethal. It was lethal.
Math is for blockers.
Math is for blockers. I'm so used to math being for me. But it was weird. It was
math
so
is for
weird.
blockers and lantern players.
I have a degree just so I could play lantern. People ask what you majored in college, and can I say lantern control? All right. Looks like some players
Definitely
gonna
could.
resolve their mulligans. Finn down to 6. Kieran on the play. Ink Moth Nexus pass.
Ink Moth go.
Cavern Human Champion go. The third best turn 1 play from humans. You think so? A little bit draw dependent.
It depends, yeah. Hang it back, Waka Taka Blocka. Pretty good against the humans deck if you can avoid getting it Reflector Maged.
Oof. It's the dies trigger, not a leaves the battlefield trigger, so they no inherent way to sacrifice it, and no dumb Thragtusk shenanigans.
Yeah, not much you can do about a Reflector Mage on that one.
I hate Reflector Mage. Here's a Horizon Canopy from Finn. Follow Champion, Pump Champion. This is one of those aggro draws from the humans decks. So they sort of have the more disruptive draws, and they have the more aggressive draws. And this appears to be curving out in one of the aggressive ones. We'll see if maybe we see a Mantis Rider next turn and a crash for a lot of damage.
It's possible. It also looks like Finn is running low on lands if he's playing the Canopy as a second land.
That's likely. He also presumably didn't have a 2-drop because if you're a humans deck and you have a 2-drop, you presumably want to run that out on turn 2. Kieran here going to activate his Inkmoth Nexus.
It's also possible he's slow rolling to get the maximum champion triggers, but
Sure.
I don't disagree. Usually you want to play a 2-drop over a champion. So it looks like we're going to see an attack for 1 and a hanger back tick up here.
Crank it. If Kieran can get a sack outlet and a Ravager going, obviously if we can find a Ravager, then we could see a quick Inkmoth kill out of the Scales deck. Well, here we have... I get so tired of the humans lands. I swear when I played it, I spent half the time reading my lands, trying to figure out... They all look the same. I need more intelligence to play the humans base.
It takes a really high IQ to name the right creature type when you play Cavern.
But it's just they're all the same color. I'll just be like, Ancient Ziggurat, either one. No. That's not how that works.
They all cast anything except the ones that don't.
Right. So Finn has played a land that casts humans and is now casting a Kitesail freebooter. So we're going to get to take a peek at what Kiernan is working with.
Yeah, because it looks like Kiernan kind of has a slow start, so I'm wondering what he's got. He's got several Mox Opals that he's been slow rolling.
And a Stone Coil Serpent. So we've got double Canopy, double Mox Opal. Shing, so shiny. And a Stone Coil Serpent.
Worth noting, Stone Coil is actually very good against the humans deck.
Yeah, turns out pro multicolor text. Also, that card, people always miss it, has reach.
Yeah.
I've eaten Mantis Riders that way before. I feel a little guilty, and yet not that guilty. So here's Finn, gonna get some champion counters, gonna crash in and attack for 7. Very aggressive draw.
Blocking the smaller one.
Not sure about that. Could have blocked a little more damage.
Yeah. Let's see if. Oh well,
Yeah.
these things happen.
Yeah, maybe thought the 2 counters gonna be a trade. But here we go. 2 Thopters for Kiernan. Finn only able to take a Mox Opal.
Oh, it's kind of nice that
Skills player, that's
these
fine.
Thopters are going to turn on Metalcraft here, which will enable Kiernan to make a slightly bigger Stone Coil.
Here's. Don't ban it. Don't ban it.
Borrowed time.
No. There's no necessity. Doesn't need to be banned.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 5.
Bam. The champion's going to outgrow it real quick, though. I'm a little worried. Finn with 2 cards in hand.
Yeah.
But one more counter on the champion, and that's a trade. Definitely the aggressive start putting Kiernan severely on the back foot. Also, Kiernan really land heavy draw.
Yeah, once these champions outgrow the Stone Coil, that's pretty bad news for Kiernan.
Yikes. You know, they feel like the least. Oh, Deputy Stone Coil. That's protection from multicolor. That is not how
It's not
that
going to work
works.
out. However, it is going to get these Thopter tokens, which is
Ooh,
potentially even stronger.
real bad. Ooh,
But yeah,
he should indeed
immunity to
probably read
Reflector
the
Mage and the Deputy of Detention.
it's a
Definitely.
good card.
Yeah.
On the other hand, that trigger, Champion of the Parish, also a good card. It feels less important because it has feeling weird abilities.
Ooh, this Hierarch is
That Hierarch's going to grow
bad
the
news.
champion, notably the Deputy of Detention of a Dulcan Wizard.
So it looks like nothing was exiled under this Deputy, which is actually not how the card's supposed to work.
It was an invalid target, which means he should be able to target something else.
Yeah.
Do we... we should step out, probably.
It could have been a... Yeah, hold on, guys. We're just going to go ahead
Yeah,
and,
we're gonna go ahead and
do something
gonna
real
step
quick.
out. Gonna play
Adjust
judge
this
a little
game
bit.
state.
Oh, he doesn't... Wait. Does he have to target anything? The original target for Deputy was Stone Coil Serpent, which is protection from multicolor. And if you remember your debt... If you remember your debt, that is damage, enchanting and equipping, blocking, and targeting. Those are the things you cannot do when something has protection.
Mm-hmm. And since Finn has displayed that he has in fact remembered and he tried to target something with the Deputy, the rules say that he is supposed to get to exile something else instead of the card he cannot exile.
Yeah, it's not a fizzle.
The original target was the Stone Coil, which is an illegal target. So interestingly...
Suspecting these draws are misaligned enough that it's not going to make a huge difference. But the Thopters would definitely give Kiernan a little more time. I guess that's, we could see...
The Thopters would have actually made a pretty big deal, I think. And looks like picking up a Champion of the Parish here. Kiernan...
Picking up a Blast Zone. That's a good one.
Blast
That's a
Zone's
good one.
quite
That'll clean
good.
up 2 Hierarchs and a Champion of the Parish. Everything else Finn is presenting is just not that threatening.
Yeah, you definitely
That's
just
a
want to
game
go for
turner.
it. Often against humans, 2 is the right number.
Not today.
Not today.
I always recommend blowing your Blast Zone on your own turn against humans, especially when there are Hierarchs in play, just to cut their mana off. Yeah, Kiernan going to do exactly that. Quick 3 for 1.
Yeah, getting the only thing that can really withstand your Stone Coil Serpent out of the way, definitely a good place to start.
Yeah, and pretty soon.
I have to imagine we're going to see an attack.
I don't know. Kiernan's at 6.
Kieran
Mantis
is at
Rider could
6.
be pretty threatening.
That is definitely true, but I believe that you got to start doing it sooner rather than later.
All right. Yeah, we don't see the pieces to assemble an Inkmoth kill with the Ravager right now.
Yeah, definitely a little ways away from that.
Yeah, gonna get in with his Rampler. Well, the getting's good.
Creatures were meant to be attacked, or meant to attack.
I don't know. Someone's gonna have to explain that one to me a little more. In here.
The combat step.
Ooh, Mantis Rider.
Ooh, yeah, so
boom, boom.
that is the maximum punish because now you take 4 damage.
Yeah, gonna take 4. Yep, Kieran gonna fall to 2, and if Finn can sneak in, you know, I might have gone in with the deputy there.
The deputy attack, yeah.
The deputy attack is gonna force a sack to the Ravager to push.
But
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
I mean,
I guess the deputy soaks up 3 on the crackback, but I don't think
yeah,
Kieran's putting together 12.
That's possible.
Really?
I mean, if you look at it, we already have 7 power in play, 8 with the Nexus, with a hangerback walker off the top. That could actually be pretty quick lethal.
Let's see it.
Although to be fair, you could just put all the counters on the Stone Coil anyways. We see 2 canopies and 2 Mox Opals here.
Cycle.
Crack, crack. Sack to the Ravager. I'll play a Mox Opal.
Crack, cycle, sack. Oh, you're totally right. Here's the hangerback walker.
And another artifact. Arcbound Worker. Ooh.
Arcbound Worker. He's a good boy.
This actually might just be lethal.
I think it is.
I believe it is, yeah.
Let's see.
So you sack.
I see. Sack Arcbound Worker to Arcbound Ravager.
That's exactly
put
12.
The counter on the hangerback. Sack the hangerback. Get 2 Thopters. Sack. But it's 12. Finn gonna get to declare some blocks. He's got 6 toughness to soak.
He can't block because it has.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
I should know how this works. Protection from multicolor, everybody.
I mean, you just keep playing against the card and you're like, oh yeah, it does that too.
I know. It's for some reason
so
impossible to read. Yeah, here we go. So what we saw there is exactly sack Worker to Ravager, put counter on hangerback, sack hangerback to Ravager, get 2 Thopters, sack Thopters to Ravager, sack Ravager to itself, move counters onto Stone Coil Serpent, crash for 12 GG.
Trigger.
Only just a couple of triggers.
So a close game, but looks like Kieran was able to put together exactly enough burst damage to finish off Finn.
Well, that's how scales do. Let's take a look at
kills you out of nowhere.
Just skills you out of nowhere. I like it. Oh, now you guys are really suffering with the 2 of us here. Let's take a look at some sideboard options for our players.
Let's go ahead and pull those out.
Tonight. So I see already Kieran packing some Gaddock Teagues. Don't imagine those are relevant in this matchup.
They actually might be. They shut off a couple cards.
In the human stack?
Oh, you mean out of the scales?
Yeah, no, Kieran's running Gaddock Teagues in the
I believe they're both running Gaddock Teague, actually.
Not terribly
so
relevant.
Let's see. Out of the humans player, we are going to find 2 copies of Dismember, 2 Plague Engineers, 1 Combo, Console of Allocation, 3 Oriok Champion, 1 Knight of Autumn, 2 Deputy of Detention, 2 Collector Oath, and 2 Gaddock Teague.
So the oaths are obvious, but what else do you like?
So let's see. Knight of Autumn and Deputy, I think, are both fairly obvious. Creatures that keep the opponent's side of the battlefield clear are always good.
Yeah, especially we see Deputy working well against Thopters.
Definitely true. Dismember is also a possibility. You can use it to kill big Stone Coil Serpents and break up certain kills.
You can use it to kill a target for a large modular
yeah, there's definitely
trigger.
uses for it, and then when it's only 1 mana, you can often sneak it in.
Yep, and sitting here as options for Kieran, we have 2 Spellskite, 2 Veil of Summer, 3 Gaddock Teague, 2 Phyrexian Revoker, 2 Dismembered, 2 Torpor Orb, and 2 Nature's Claims. Gotta love Torpor Orb against humans.
Yeah, it's It's pretty annoying for them to deal with, given how all their answers to it get shut off by it.
You love it. What else do you like
I
here?
actually don't like much else.
Yeah.
The dismembers are pretty good. Similarly, you want to kill their things like their
Champions before they get big.
exactly. You want to kill champions. Sometimes you want to kill meddling mages.
You know, I especially want to bring it in here specifically with Oof in mind. Knowing that they might be
Definitely.
packing Collector Oof, I think you absolutely have to board in Dismember because Collector Oof, you know, I gripe about this because in the, you know, SCG GP meta where you kind of see the same decks collecting at the top, I think Collector Oof is bad because it's just not good enough against the Urza decks, and I think it's a mistake to board it in unless you're really struggling for good cards. It's so situationally relevant. It's most of the time not. But what it really punishes is decks like Scales. Specifically, Scales gets massacred by Collector Oof.
Yeah, it definitely shuts off a lot of their best draws. It doesn't shut off scales itself, but if you aren't worried about that, then you can stop their ballista, you can stop their Arcbound Ravager, stuff like that.
Yeah, you can't. They can't get any of their counters onto, you know, an Inkmoth Nexus, things like that. The other thing is their main answer to it is Walking Ballista, so it's another card that shuts off the answers, much like Torbororb. And so I think the biggest threats coming out of Kiernan's sideboard are those Torbororbs, and the biggest threats coming out of Finn's are those Collector Oofs.
But in general, it looks like they each have 2 copies of their Hoser card and then just a couple of small upgrades, dismembers really. But in that sense, it's kind of like a mirror. These creature-based aggro decks.
Interesting. In what ways is Scales and Humans a mirror? Because they're neither of them
A
are.
sideboard mirror, yeah. I guess that doesn't really make
No,
sense.
no. But it's an interesting comparison because neither of them are straight aggressive decks that are just incredibly linear, the way like Burn or Prowess is. You know, the Humans deck has these weird angles of disruption that make it play almost like a tempo deck sometimes, and its draws can change its role in a big way.
Yeah, both.
Whereas Scales has this. I don't know how to describe the difference. I mean, Scales is an aggro deck, but it's got these combo aspects because you can just suddenly like pile up a kill out of nowhere rather than just sort of curving out and playing value beats. I don't exactly
Yeah,
know how
both
to
decks threaten.
differentiate it.
Both decks threaten to do something other than attack you. Humans plays a bunch of creatures that disrupt you, and then Scales has a bunch of synergies that add up to 20 pretty quickly.
So the oddball aggro mirror.
The aggro plus something else mirror. Yeah, it's
I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
man cannot survive on aggro alone.
I mean, I believe it. Not everyone can get on board, but
Hate dying to Xaxes. Always feels like you could have played something differently. The funny thing is that since he died to exact mana there, the deputy attack would have actually cost him 1 mana, which means that he might not have been able to get a combo kill there.
was I accidentally right about something?
Looks like it.
All right, Finn here gonna lead Ziggurat, champion of the parish. Kiernan going to tell a little story.
The story started once upon a time,
Once upon a time in a dark steel citadel.
in a year far, far ago, 2019.
This story began tonight actually, and this story began with a dark steel citadel, forest, hardened scales. That is a pretty good first chapter, if you do.
It's not bad at
ask
all.
me. All right, let's see what we've got on Finn's turn two. Second Ziggurat, Noble Hierarch, Trigger Champion of the
Ooh,
Parish.
are we gonna see? Ooh.
Oof.
That's a
Here
lot
we
of damage.
go.
That's a lava
That's a
axe.
crack for 5 on turn 2. Come at ya.
Finn says you attack with a lot of +1/+1 counters on turn 2. I can do that
So you
too.
can play this game. I really want to put Champion of the Parish. I've been really trying to jam Champion of the Parish, Thalia's
good
Lieutenant,
card.
and Hardened Scales all in the same deck. I've been trying. Let me tell you what.
I mean, I'm a fan of 1 mana 6/6s. That's pretty good.
Right?
Ooh.
Ooh, here we go. Darksteel Citadel into Torpororb. But here we already see a couple of critical triggers. Triggers caused by creatures entering the battlefield. Because let's remember that Torpororb does not shut off creatures' own ETB triggers, but rather anything that triggers on a creature entering the battlefield.
Which includes Champion of the Parish.
Yep.
So
Yes, it does. No more growing, but These exalted triggers really nasty. And Finn pretty flush with mana, gonna crack that canopy. 3 up, can cast pretty much everything.
Yeah, at this point, you're really just hoping to draw like a Mantis Rider and kill Kiernan as quickly as possible. Um, I have to imagine that Finn is feeling really far behind here, even though he's already attacked for 10 and it's only turn 3. If Kiernan's able to stabilize this board, then Finn isn't going to be able to do much more thanks to this Torpor Orb. The old Charming Prince go.
That is one grizzly bear. Yikes. Some of the grizzly bears out of humans have first, right? Kiernan. 2 mana Stone Coil Serpent. Only on 2. Not going to wait around. Oh, 3. My bad. Hardened Scales.
So yeah, the Stone Coil on 3 going to slow down Finn's aggression. Ooh, Incept Dismember.
Boo.
Alright, so it looks like Finn might actually be able to get the job done here.
Yeah, I'm seeing an attack for 5 again. Would put Kiernan to 2. Dismember.
And if Finn can
Very off the
deploy
table.
a Mantis Rider this turn, then he's actually in very good shape to win this game.
Yeah. Mantis Rider actually, I think, is straight lethal.
No,
No exalted triggers. It'll put Kiernan to 2.
but yeah, Torpor Orb, not going to give you a lot of time to mess around. So Finn really needs to have a pretty good turn here. Even if he just plays like a creature or two and swings for 5, he's going to have to muster as much as he can here.
I think he's probably fine. It's specifically the double hierarch draw that's giving him a lot of advantage here. Just because there's just not something that gets shut down, and it's just persistent extra damage, especially with Kiernan not being able to really get on board in other ways. Meddling Mage.
Meddling Mage, one of the few cards that gets around Torpor Orb in the humans deck.
Nope, not stopped by Torpor Orb. That is an as comes into play effect. Pick a card, any card.
I think you have to name Hangerback? It's hard to say. Ballista's also a good choice.
Ballista's going to help keep his board stable. I don't hate that choice at all. You're right. Hangerback is a way to to keep your team from getting blocked, but Kiernan's so far on the back foot that I can't imagine it matters too much.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't, because if Kiernan can stabilize, then this Torpor Orb means he can't lose the late game. But he might not be getting to untap here.
I'm not sure. Well, he's Ancient Stirring, so he's already.
Yeah,
he's already gone to his turn.
He had to produce 2 blockers in order to survive here, and I don't think he's able to do that.
No. Well, he can block 1, fall to 1.
It looks like. Oh, is he at 5?
Here's the Hangerback. He's at 5.
Oh, he is at 5. Okay.
It'll be an attack that gets through for 4. Here's a Hangerback on 2. Chump the champion. Go ahead and grab 2 Thopters. But that's still lethal on the next turn. I don't like his chances.
Well, the 2 Thopters can then chump again.
Well, but I mean, he chumps with a Hangerback, but the next attack is 3 creatures. Can't chump them all, and he'll be at 1.
So, but Kiernan has his whole turn, so.
See what he has.
Yeah. And so it looks like maybe Hangerback would have been the better card to name there.
Sure. Yeah, he doesn't have the mana to leverage Ballista in a useful way.
I will choose life, he says. Choose not to go to 0.
Kiernan explaining his play. I will block the thing so I don't die.
Solid advice. To any player out there.
Yeah, anyone who's trying to improve your play skill, block the thing so
choose
you don't die.
Life.
Always choose life. All right. Rock in a hard place. You often see out of really across the board when in boarded games people are tempted to keep a hate heavy hand that doesn't actually have their own game plan very well developed.
Yeah,
you can end up with awkward draws where you stumble your opponent, but they just can get around it because you didn't push back.
Yeah, you do have to remember that Torpor Orb alone is not going to defeat them. You do need to have the rest of the game plan there too. Ooh, and
Okay,
Stone
that meddling
Coil.
mage is going to name Stone Coil Serpent.
Which is interesting. I think you would rather name something with a little more utility than Stone Coil.
Yeah. I think even a second hanger back here is not really what you want to see, but
Yeah, I think you got to name
you name
Hangerback or
Hangerback
maybe
again.
Arcbound Ravager.
Yeah. Kieran, thank you for spelling out the names on those pithing needles in such beautiful, legible handwriting.
Pithing needles.
Sorry. Same.
I mean,
Meddling mages.
do they look the same to you?
That's all you
Mrs.
see on every name and card effect. Flashback pithing needle. Name force of will.
Terrible. And so, despite having a good start, it looks like Kiernan might be picking it up pretty soon here, unless he can find something really good off the top.
He's been a little land starved this game. Like he's had to work pretty hard to develop his mana, which has not been helpful.
Inkmoth Nexus for the turn.
Handful of business, but all too slow. Yeah, even if he could blow the blast in on one, he's still looking at lethal. Yeah, it's just every kind of lethal.
I don't have enough creatures.
Kieran sees the writing on the wall and packs it up, and we're going to go to game 3 here. Selesnya Scales versus Humans. We haven't quite seen yet the Selesnya magic. We know there are Gaddock Teagues in the sideboard, but...
Yeah, I gotta wonder what white cards are in the deck.
I wonder. Maybe we're just getting ready for Theros Beyond Death.
So let me tell you about a card that goes well with Walking Ballista and white. So for those of you who don't know, there's actually a new infinite combo. Helia, God of the Sun, is kind of similar to a Johnny's Pridemate in that whenever you gain life, Heliod will put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. Now,
It's a lot better than
crucially,
Johnny's Pridemate.
it's okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
But crucially, it lets you go infinite with something like Walking Ballista or Spike Feeder. Walking Ballista, already a card that has found its place in the Hardened Scales deck, so it's easy to imagine, okay, well you can just slot in Heliod and try to go infinite. Because the combo is if you give Ballista lifelink with Heliod's activated ability, which, by the way, he does that, 1 and a white, give a creature lifelink, you remove a counter from the Ballista, deal 1 damage to your opponent, you gain 1 life, thanks to lifelink, and then Heliod replaces the counter on Ballista, and then you just do it until somebody dies. Or you put them at 1 and say go. Your
Stop
choice.
playing with your food. Yeah, so I've been working a lot with Heliod. I think it's incredibly good. It's really, it's kind of awesome that this, win out of nowhere 2-card combo, reminiscent, if you may, of the old Splinter Twin combo, is completely pioneer legal. So I think people are also looking at how to leverage that in Pioneer, but I've been working on it in Modern. I have a few different ideas. I think one of my lists is, not gonna lie, it's actually really good.
Pretty good,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna continue working with it. I have a few other things to try, and I'm gonna keep trying to develop that list. But if you want to read more about that, gotta plug it a little bit. Hipsters of the Coast. I have an article, 3 spicy Heliod brews, coming out tomorrow. Check back. I'll post a link on my Twitter as well, which I will post in the chat in a second. But Heliod, infinite combos, the return of Splinter Twin. Can Modern survive? ...
Question mark.
I'm gonna break it.
It's a pretty strong combo. So it looks like we're going to game 3 here. Looks like Finn is taking a mulligan here.
Finn on a mulligan to 6. Let's see if he can find a decent hand. The Humans deck, not one to generate a ton of card advantage. Does not like to mulligan too much, but you get a little bit of help with the London mulligan. You can put together plenty decent 6s, even decent 5s.
And it's true that if you take a bad 7 and you remove the worst card, it's usually not much worse. So it's like you might as well mulligan anyways,
Absolutely.
to put it in kind of a roundabout way.
You know, I've had to retrain myself mulliganing because, you know, you start thinking, will a random 6 be better? And you're sort of going, oh, it's not the
Yeah,
consideration
it's definitely better than a
anymore.
random 6, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I've had to retrain myself because, you know, I don't want to mulligan, you know, mediocre minus hands because it could get worse. And the answer is, just do it.
Mulliganing to 6 isn't nearly as bad as it used to be.
Hey, Brock Freitag. It is cool to see you in the chat. And Guardian Games is pretty sweet, right? I certainly love it. I love being here. I am always playing at F&M, sometimes playing on Saturdays, pretty much always commentating on Mondays. All right, we're going to resolve that mulligan. Bottom of card. Kieran on the play. Let's get rolling here. Forest. Hardened skills. Pass. Can't ask for much more. I mean, you can. You can also ask for a pile of Metalcraft and Opal and just completely barf your hand onto the table. Cavern of Souls. Champion. Pass.
The good humans players always have the champion on turn 1. Or the vial, one or the other.
Third time, every time. Champion. Wonder if this is another really aggressive draw from Finn.
Yeah, this might be...
Kieran getting on board a lot faster this time with a Mox Opal, Darksteel Citadel, animation module. Is it a Ravager? Hangerback Walker for 1. Make that 2.
So yeah, it looks like Kieran's kind of firing on all cylinders here with an early Mox Opal and a Hardened Scales and a Hangerback on 2. So he's definitely doing what he wants to.
Yep. This is going to gun up the board quite a bit. And cranking that Hangerback, paying 1 with the animation module, pretty good. And he's just going to be able to keep doing that and doing that.
So yeah, Finn is definitely under a lot of pressure to have a good turn 2 here. If he just has a decent turn 2 or something bad like Vial or Hierarch, then...
So here's Thalia's Lieutenant. Not what you want to see with just one champion on the board. Like, okay, but not
Thalia's Lieutenant is, I feel, one of the better 2-drops to have here, though. I mean, none of them are great, but at least this one's better than something like Kitesail Freebooter.
Yeah, that's true. You know, on the draw, Thalia is a lot mopier. If he'd been on the play, Thalia would have worked quite well there. But Kieran unfortunately had the chance to dump his hand. I wonder if Kieran drew that Mox. Okay, here we go. Ravager.
Yeah,
This
Ravager, very, very dangerous on this board state.
All right, counters on Ravager. Coming in with an extra 1 off Hardened Scales. Pay for the animation module. Gonna make a Thopter.
Yeah, just pass here.
Servo, sorry.
Oh,
Pass
yeah.
it back. Kieran not bringing the tokens. Shame.
Yeah, tokens pretty important with a deck like this, especially when you have +1/+1 counters on them. Like, I have 2 servos, each with a +1/+1 counter. How do you represent that?
Oh, you were here when Sam was visiting. I remember when Sam was visiting, and actually, I didn't borrow Tron from Sam. I borrowed Tron from another local player. Sam borrowed my deck. He was like, that looks fun. I want to play it. I'm like, what am I going to play? And then I got someone to lend me Tron. And then I counted to 7. They did
1,
it.
2,
7.
7.
We did it. I think I remember. Oh, you were on the Fall of the Thran deck. That was awesome. I've never been so happy to be Armageddon in my life. I was just like, Fall of the Thran. I was like, can I read that? I respect anyone who's going to make me read their cards. Yeah, Finn trying to make a decision here definitely knows that if he's going to get out of this, it's got to be done exactly right because he is way up against a wall.
Yeah. It starts with a 3-mana removal spell creature. Either either Reflector Mage, Deputy, or Knight of Autumn. Although Knight of Autumn the weakest of those 3 because it's not going to be able to stop some triggers from going off.
That's a fact.
Also worth noting that Kieran is threatening to make a ton of Thopters very shortly here.
Servo. Oh, with the Hangerback.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Hangerback. The Ravager can put a pile of counters on the Hangerback, or you can just crank the Hangerback, sack to the Ravager. Oh, Reflector Mage the Hangerback. That's about to happen. I do imagine what we're going to see here is a crank of the Hangerback, a couple extra counters sacked to Ravager.
Yeah, 4 Thopters is good enough value. Lets you cast a Hangerback next turn as well if you have one or draw one.
Here we go.
But
Here's the
Reflector Mage,
sack.
definitely the card that you were hoping for here.
Absolutely.
Because it also lets you
Triggers
grow.
all around.
Unfortunately, you can't actually attack because Arcbound Ravager is a brick wall.
He's a brick house.
I mean, we are pretty close to Electric Avenue here. I believe in you, Finn.
You know, Finn definitely representing the scrappy humans team here, but oh, it'll be hell of a comeback if he can make it happen.
And it looks like this is lethal on board.
Whoa. So 2 Hardened scales. Every one of those counters that moves around, gonna be 3. Pretty awful. Sack this to Arcbound Ravager. Pay 1. Make a servo. You've seen this dance before. When you see the scales player start going, you're pretty sure you're dead. Math is for scales players.
Indeed. You gotta use a lot of dice.
It's just like, you know, it took me forever playing against scales. I just look across the table and try to figure out if I was dead or like what I needed to block. And it's like, I don't know what you can do. Like, I know you know what you can do. I don't know what you can do. But I've learned to count it. But ugh. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that, buddy.
This is every
That's
scales
a
player's
2020
dream.
Ravager.
Just a Ravager with just a fistful of dice on it.
23.
I will swing. Would you like to block?
Kiernan's sitting pretty at 17. Finn's going to call it good at that. This round, going to go to Kiernan, 2-1. Selesnya scales over humans. So, we've got a few minutes left. Not quite enough to bring you a mid-round. But I want to welcome everybody in chat. If you are new here, if you're returning after our long hiatus, it is good to see you again. Welcome back. Let's see what we can do.